we talk about the Whole30 and then living your food freedom, right? And food freedom is not me telling you what to eat 365 days a year.
Yeah.
There is no one size fits all diet. And all the exercise and diet gurus say this, right? Oh, there's no one size fits all. You have to figure it out for yourself. And then people are like, cool, how do I figure it out? And the Whole30 is how you figure it out. It's you eliminate, you reintroduce.
You start to bring little things back.
You compare your experience, and then based on what you've learned, you get to decide what's worth it for you in life after. And that's how you create the perfect diet for you. So that's what I've done.
Welcome back, everyone, to the School of Greatness podcast. We have Melissa Hartwig in the house. Good to see you.
So good to see you,
too. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
You're my first interview that I've done in a few weeks because I've been on my book tour.
Yeah.
And so I'm finally back home in the studio. It feels good to be back and connecting with someone. So I'm very excited about this because you're the co-creator of Whole30 program.
Yeah.
Which I started, I think, a year ago. Maybe I can't remember if it was a year ago, 8 months ago. My girlfriend Jen told me we should check this out. And I was like, man, I have to give up so much, right? But I did, and I looked the best and felt the best I've ever felt.
Oh, good.
I remember having a photo shoot like a week and a half into it. And these photos were, I just looked so lean and healthy and clear. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I remember when I went to Whole Foods to look for foods, I saw Whole30 stamped on the bacon that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this person has really created something if the food industry is getting behind it and putting labels on their food and the packaging. So congrats on everything.
Thank you.
You've sold, 2 million copies? Or no, million copies?
Just 2 million. You can put it out there, though, for 2.
You'll get to 2 million. You sold 2 million, a million copies in 2 years is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
And you've got a new book coming out called The Whole30 Day by Day, Your Daily Guide to Whole30 Success. Now, how is that different than the Whole30?
So the Whole30 is kind of like your go-to practical application, how to do the program. So for people who want to go in and they need all the help that they can get with planning and preparing, we teach them how to cook. So like how to grill a chicken breast, how to roast some vegetables, all the basics, and then give them a bunch of recipes. So it's kind of like your step-by-step, like this is how to do the program. But
in
what
Whole30.
Exactly, yeah. But what I've learned along the way with like watching hundreds of thousands of people go through it is that people want as much help as they can get, especially around food, because food is so emotional. Mm-hmm. So Whole30 Day by Day is essentially the last 2.5 years of me watching people go through the program, observing what they experience on any given day and figuring out how to support them on that specific day. So it's like part field manual, part guided reflection. It's motivation and support and tips and tricks and habit and a little habit research and a testimonial related to that day for all 30 days of the program. And then there's some guided reflection because the more closely connected you stay to the process, the better chance you have of making that habit stick.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like your field manual, your companion to the Whole30 book.
Got it. Now, you started this program in 2009, correct?
Yeah.
But why did you wait, 6 years to come out with a book?
Well, the first book, It Starts With Food, came out in 2012.
Got it.
So 3 years, and It Starts With Food is kind of like the science behind the program, the why. So if you're a Gretchen Rubin questioner and you want to know, why you're doing what you're doing and have to understand the science behind it, that's the book you start with. But it took 3 years for that book to come out because we were just making the program good and wanted to get it in people's hands and see how it did and see how we could support them and just we weren't thinking about selling books. We were just thinking about how many people can we
how could you help
reach.
People? Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you decided to come out with Whole30.
Yeah.
Why did you come out with the book at that time?
Yeah. So 2012, we wrote It Starts With Food. It explained a bit about the Whole30, how to do the program, some of the science behind it. And we were like, cool, okay, phew.
We're done.
Nobody's going to need, this is it. You can do the
Whole30
Whole30 and we're going to be able to talk about other stuff. We can talk about exercise. We can talk about sleep, whatever we're interested in. And then everyone who read It Starts With Food was like, this is awesome. I love knowing the science.
I like this one chapter of the Whole30. Can you tell us more?
How do I actually do the program? And we were like, people need way more information. So that's where... like everything I've ever written is because the community has said, I need this to be successful. And I'm like, okay, I can write that for you. Cool. So that's where the Whole30 came from, was people saying like, okay, cool, but tell me exactly what to do.
Right. Now, did you expect it to be as big as it is?
No, of course
You're
not.
like, people are going to love this. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be bigger than paleo. Like all
Oh,
these things.
goodness, no. I mean, I knew it was a good program because
Yeah.
we had a lot of people coming back reporting really similar, remarkable results. And I had remarkable results. So I knew it was good. But no, of course not. You never think about writing a book or having it grow or seeing your logo on bacon and Whole
Crazy,
Foods.
right?
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
food products is your logo on that you're aware of?
I feel like we have about maybe 70 or 80 Whole30 approved partners.
No way. That have
yeah.
your logo on their food.
It's really crazy.
That is insane.
You're going to see it in
70 partners
yeah.
on packaging.
So I don't think everyone has it
Maybe it's
on
their
their
website or
packaging,
something,
but
or-
yeah. We've got some
Holy
big
cow.
brands in the works. And we're really selective about who we choose to partner with too. Really selective.
Now, do they reach out to you or do you reach out to them?
They reach out to us
No
always.
way.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
say, can we partner with you and say this is Whole30 approved?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it because they're getting so many requests online or in their service box? It's like, hey, is this Whole30 approved?
I think so. We're working with a really big brand right now who just reformulated their bacon so that it was no
way.
sugar added. And I outreached to them and said, like, did you do this with Whole30 in mind? And they were like, yeah, we want to partner with you. And like, it's in the works. It'll probably be out
Holy
in January.
cow.
Yeah. It's like, we're changing things.
And I wonder if people are buying those products more.
Oh,
because
yes, of
see
course
that.
they are.
So like, oh, I can't have these other things. I can only have this.
Because here's the thing. Whole30 is kind of lowest common denominator. If you're paleo, if you're primal, if you're gluten-free, if you're dairy-free, if it's got a Whole30 label on it, you can eat it. So it's sort of like, you get that stamp of approval and it opens up that food to a variety of different populations, not just people on the Whole30.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now, why did you get into this in the first place?
That's
Just
very...
the search for food and like healthy living
Yeah.
in the first place.
Well, okay. I wasn't always super healthy. And I kind of came to fitness and health when I got out of rehab for drug addiction.
Okay.
So I spent my college years basically high for about 4.5 years. And
What type of high?
I was an equal opportunity user.
Anything
I didn't
at
have
all.
a drug of choice, which I think is unusual according to my rehab intake counselor. But I only dated drug dealers for like 3 years and they had access to a lot of things. And so I
Wow.
basically did everything I could get my hands on.
Where did you go to school?
I got really lucky. University of New Hampshire.
A lot of drug dealers up in New Hampshire, huh?
I mean, there are drug dealers everywhere. And I could find them if
found them.
yeah, wherever I was.
What
I
was
could
the
find them.
draw to dating drug dealers?
When I found drugs, it was like the thing I was missing or looking for to help me sort of run away from some stuff that I wasn't dealing with. And having access to that all the time just basically kept me
Right.
oblivious.
What were those things you were running from?
Oh, it all started when I was a teenager and experienced some sexual abuse by someone who was really close to me. And it was a lot of manipulation. And it was my first experience with sex. And I was really young and it was someone I was supposed to be trustworthy. And I didn't tell anyone for a really long time. And when I finally started telling people, they didn't handle it super well. And I
Really?
felt really abandoned. Yeah, it's this whole big long thing.
How did they not handle it well? They
You
just
know-
made you wrong, or
A little bit. I feel like some of the people who were the closest to me who should have taken care of me were so overwhelmed by what to do with this information that they just chose to pretend it didn't exist, which left me feeling really abandoned. And so, I was very young. I wasn't self-aware at all. I didn't really know what to do with this information. And so I was looking for something to not keep me here.
recover, and yeah.
And I tried drinking and that didn't work. I didn't like it. I tried not, controlling other things in my life. And when I found drugs, I was like, oh, okay, cool.
You feel better.
This is what I do now. Yeah.
Wow. So
And
when
it
did you
was-
start? When you were 17, 18? Or?
No, I didn't tell anyone about the abuse until I was about 18.
Yeah.
And I didn't start taking drugs until my freshman year of college. So it was about 19. And then
Got
I
it.
picked it up fast.
What gave you the courage to even tell someone? Because I never had the courage to tell anyone.
Yeah, I've read your story.
Yeah.
It was necessity. This was a person who was in my life. He was very close with my family. And
Wasn't a family member, but a close
No,
family.
it was a family member.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he would just, continue to act like nothing was wrong. And I
Really?
would be expected to just continue to do things. And he showed up at my house one day to pick me up to go for a drive. And I basically freaked out and told my dad was home. And I told my dad.
No way.
Yeah, I couldn't,
With him there?
Yeah. Or I don't remember if he was there or if I sent him away, but basically I
Wow.
had like this giant freak out and then kind of told, and then it was this whole big mess.
And your dad
right?
was like close to this person probably.
Yeah, my dad almost killed him.
No way.
I mean, it was, yeah, right?
Well, how did that make you feel? When he kind of stood up for you that way or no?
Yeah, I didn't. I was, it's funny because I've had conversations with my dad after the fact, and it's interesting reconciling what I remember as a teenager with hearing his story now. And like, I'm almost seeing it from two different viewpoints, like 16-year-old Melissa and adult Melissa. And I think at the time I didn't realize kind of what was going on behind the scenes with how my parents were choosing to handle it and stuff. All I knew was that like something went horribly wrong and I didn't know what to think about it and I didn't know how to handle it. And it was probably my fault in some way.
Right.
And so, yeah, I don't think I was even aware of how it was being handled. I just know I felt really like lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've literally never talked about that before.
Wow. Did your dad, were you able to talk about it more with your dad or was he just kind of like?
Yep. I talk with him quite a bit about it now, very openly, and I feel really good about it. He's been incredibly supportive.
That's good.
Yes, it's really good.
But other people in your family weren't supporting you is what you're saying.
Family dynamics are really hard.
Yeah.
I'll just be diplomatic about that. And it can be really hard, when you take a look at something like that, when you really look at it, you have to accept a whole lot of information about what was going on at that time and the way you reacted and the truths that you learned as a kid. And like, it's complicated. I will say everyone did the best they could. I truly believe that. I really think they did the best they could. And I'm a parent now. And I think about how I would handle that situation. And like, you just don't know, it's unfathomable.
It's crazy, right?
It is.
1 in 4 women, 1 in 6 men.
Yeah.
Sexually abused. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is.
I feel like I was having a conversation the other day with someone who said that they will never have like a babysitter. They're only going to have like, the grandmother or like a family member. But even then, it's like, who knows?
No, you
never know.
I know, you never know. And that's the hardest part, right? I don't expect anyone to have been able to like, you can't see something like this coming.
No.
I, in retrospect, probably exhibited a lot of, right after that event, I became kind of a wild child. Like I was a good kid. I studied super hard, got straight A's, was like, read my books and like did what I was supposed to do. And then things kind of started going wrong. I was sneaking out of the house and lying to my parents. And like, in retrospect, if I have a kid and something like that happens, you have to ask like, why the shift?
Right. What's happening?
Yeah. But again, hindsight, right?
Yeah.
Hindsight. People, they did the best they could with what they had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you went out to school, you found drugs, felt the feeling you were looking for.
Yep.
And when did you realize like, oh, I have a problem or this isn't working for me or this is not what I want to do anymore?
Yeah. You do this thing to take you away from this other thing because this is a
to
problem.
another addiction.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then this thing becomes a problem. And then you're like, oh crap, now I have 2 problems. Right. So after, I ended up having to drop out of school because I wasn't doing well. I moved down to Virginia to live with my dad for a little while until my behavior down there became so erratic because I found a drug dealer in Virginia too.
No way.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
And my behavior down there became very erratic. So I moved back home with my mom and I kind of ping-ponged around. And my mom had a new husband at the time who was like, your daughter's on drugs, right? My mom has no experience with this and was like, no way, that can't be possible, And eventually the wheels started to come off my bus in a pretty serious way.
Really?
And I had a boyfriend I was living with at the time who, bless him.
A drug dealer?
Nope. Not a drug dealer.
Wow.
The like guy that I picked up, the good guy. The like good guy.
You made him wrong for everything probably, didn't you?
I don't think I took very good care of him at the end. I don't think so. But he took good care of me. And there was one night where he just said to me, like, I'm going to get you help tonight or I'm leaving.
Wow.
And he did. He called and they had a bed for me. And we literally went like in an hour. I was in the rehab facility.
Wow.
I know.
That's
Nate,
nice of him.
my favorite ex-boyfriend.
That's great.
I do. Yeah.
That's great. I'm glad he stood for you.
Me too.
And then what happened after that?
Went to rehab, got clean.
How long did that take? Like 30 days?
You're like inpatient for 4 weeks and then outpatient for a month or 2. I started working with a really great therapist who I worked with until like 2 or 3 years ago. Like we're talking, many, many years of me working with this guy who really helped me kind of get through like the abuse and like unpack all of that stuff. Was clean for a year and then relapsed for a month or so and then pulled myself out of my hole. Said, okay.
By yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
You realized like, oh, this isn't working.
This is not okay. And then
what type of drugs are we talking here?
I did a lot of, I never shot up and I never smoked crack. Those were the 2
Got it.
I did a lot of heroin. I did a lot of ecstasy. I did a lot of hallucinogens. I smoked a lot of pot, like
Yeah.
a lot of pills,
Yeah.
basically whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was when I got clean for the final time, which was like 2000, that I found fitness.
Really?
And yeah.
That became
and
your new
nutrition.
addiction.
And
Healthy addiction, right?
maybe for a little while I like over exercised, but that modulated itself really quickly.
That's good.
Yeah. I felt like I had to change everything about me and my life to stay clean.
Yeah.
I had to get new friends. I got rid of clothes. I stopped listening to certain music. I moved. I started going to the gym. I made new girlfriends who like, my goal was basically for me to tell people about my addiction story and have them be like, what? I can't picture that. Like that was what I wanted, was to remove myself so far from that situation.
You changed your entire environment and everything you did.
I did.
That's great.
Yeah. Growth mindset, right? I didn't know it at the time, but that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was embracing like this massive growth mindset.
This was 2000.
Yeah.
So you got into fitness and then nutrition.
Yeah.
And when did you start to feel like, okay, I'm back on track to a normal lifestyle or like a fulfilling lifestyle?
I don't know that it was ever a moment. I just know that the farther along I got, the more I felt really settled in my new life, the more I felt like I had really good coping mechanisms. I still have some buffers in place still.
What does that mean?
I'm 18 years from using drugs, right? I'm almost 18 years clean, and I still won't keep narcotics in my house. So when I had my son, I had an emergency C-section, and they gave me pain pills, and I gave them to his dad. And I said, you keep these. You don't tell me where they are. You only give them to me if you think I need them, right? Protective.
Smart.
Just protective.
Smart. Otherwise, you can go right back into...
I just want to create as much of a buffer between me and that behavior as possible.
That's smart.
But there was definitely a point where I was like, okay, I'm definitely a new person. I can't imagine, no matter how like bad or crazy things get, that I would go back to that.
Wow.
And it took a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then you became a nutritionist, right?
Yes, sports nutritionist. I was running a CrossFit gym. I was traveling with CrossFit, coaching people in kettlebells.
So you got into this before CrossFit was big, right? You were kind of like
in the beginning,
stages?
2005, 2006, earlier stages. Yeah.
Wow. A friend of mine that I played college football with won the CrossFit Games, I think in 2008 or 2009.
Yeah.
Graham Holmberg. I don't know if you know that
Oh,
name,
I don't know him. Yeah.
He was the guy before Rich Froning.
Yes.
And went on to win like however many in a row.
Yeah.
So you got in early into that community and
Yeah.
you created a CrossFit gym. You must have been one of the first CrossFit gyms, right?
I was like the second one in New Hampshire.
No way.
Yeah, it was cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
And after you became a sports nutritionist, were you trying to get clients as a sports nutritionist, or was it more the gym thing, or what was the
I was just doing it part-time. I had like a 9-to-5 job that I really liked, that I was like, I had gone back to college. I got my bachelor's and I was working this 9-to-5 job that I loved, and I was advancing and like doing really well there. And I was just doing this like gym stuff on the side.
Really?
Yeah. I was training clients, which I loved. I was doing some nutrition consulting, like very casually, just based on my own experience and some of the research I was doing. Rob Wolf was kind of a mentor of mine. So
Being
when
in
he
the
had,
paleo world, right?
yeah. So when he had overflow clients, he'd kind of send them my way,
nice.
and I was working with them. It was great. Yeah. I learned a lot. And then I figured out the more I was doing with them with nutrition, the better results they got in the gym.
Right.
And my kind of area of interest was like working with women in nutrition, specifically telling women it was okay for them to like eat more, which was, I think, a new concept for a lot of them, even in the CrossFit world at
Eat
that
more,
point.
but certain things,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like you don't have
Whole30.
you don't have to starve yourself.
Yeah, when I was on Whole30, I was eating pretty much anything all the time because I was missing out on sugar.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
give me apple and almond butter. I was like dying.
Yeah, well, that's that emotional relationship that I
Exactly, right?
discovered really early on too.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
so critical. Yeah.
Yeah, but then after a while, you start to like not need it as much,
Yeah.
at the end of the 30 days. I actually I think I went 45 days. I was trying to go, after 30 days of doing it, I was like, I'm going to do another 30.
Yeah.
And I did 45, and then I kind of like started to cheat a little, and then I was like, all right.
Sure.
But it was amazing, and it felt amazing.
I'm glad.
Now, do you stay Whole30 24/7, 365, or is this just like...
Of course not.
No.
That's not the point.
Yeah.
I
What is the
don't-
point?
So we talk about the Whole30 and then living your food freedom, right? And food freedom is not me telling you what to eat 365 days a year.
Yeah.
There is no one size fits all
Right.
diet. And all the exercise and diet gurus say this, right? Oh, there's no one size fits all. You have to figure it out for yourself. And then people are like, cool. How do I figure it out? And the Whole30 is how you figure it out. It's you eliminate, you
You start to
reintroduce,
bring little things back
you
in,
compare
right?
your experience, and then based on what you've learned, you get to decide what's worth it for you in life after. And that's how you create the perfect diet for you. So that's what I've done.
Wow.
There's stuff that I bring back in on a really regular basis. Rice in my sushi, no big deal. Hummus, no big deal. The occasional like glass of white wine, no big deal. And then there's stuff that I never eat because I know it messes me up so bad that it's just not worth it.
What
and
are
then
those
there's like
things?
in between. Goat cheese. It's like the worst for me. For some reason, it makes my stomach so unhappy.
Yeah.
I know. But I don't miss it because it makes me feel like junk.
When I came back off the Whole30, I had like a thing of hummus, and man, it messed me up.
Yeah, hummus can do that.
But I think maybe because I was like, well, maybe because I had the whole jug of hummus, and so maybe that's why. Or maybe it was
Could
like
be.
the pita bread that I had. I don't know, like
Yes.
combination of
Right.
everything. Maybe it's because I'm an empty stomach. Like,
Yes. And this is why reintroduction is so carefully structured because we want you to learn as much as you can from the experiment, right?
Yeah.
Bring stuff back in really carefully and deliberately and figure out, that way you're not asking yourself, is it the hummus or is the pita bread? You know for sure.
yeah,
I
probably
kind
didn't
of,
do it the best way, but
yeah, that's fine. It's fine. There are
was
always
great.
opportunities.
But the thing is, like, so many people I talk to who go on the Whole30 get great results.
Yeah.
And it becomes a conversation. It's like a thing you can do together with friends. Me and my girlfriend did it together. My entertainment lawyer did it, and he got great results, and then it just keeps spreading, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like this is different. There's so many diet books out there or like nutrition books out there.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is one that's really sustainable for people, where the people get great results and they can always come back to.
Yes. And
because it is like just the whole foods.
Yeah.
It's like vegetables.
Yeah.
And meat.
It's
it's like
it's really easy. All you're doing is like picking from the shopping list.
Yes.
And you're not counting calories and you're not tracking and you're not weighing and you're not measuring. And here are like 1,000 recipes you can pick from, and you can just put ingredient meals together if you want. Like once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty easy.
Yes. Now I want to ask about, because you started this with your ex-husband.
Yeah.
You started this program.
Yeah.
Was it your idea? Was it his idea? Was it?
I mean, he was the one who suggested it in the first place. He's a physical therapist. He had been doing some research into dietary factors that impact rheumatoid arthritis because his little sister had RA.
Got it.
And came across a paper from Lauren Cordain, who's like the paleo OG, about lectins in certain foods. And as a physical therapist, he had this shoulder injury that he just could not heal. And he removed some of these foods from his diet, and his shoulder pain cleared up miraculously and never returned, which really got his attention. And
what
then
were his foods?
He was eating a lot of beans. He was eating a lot of oatmeal. He was eating a lot of like grains, and that was the stuff he pulled out, and his shoulder pain got better.
Yeah.
So when we went
some people aren't affected by that, right? They're not affected by the grains or the.
Yeah. It affects different people in different ways to various degrees. And like
probably
you
at different
said,
stages of your life too.
that also could be it, right? If you're experiencing a lot of life stress and you're chronically underslept and overtrained, then maybe those factors have more, right? This is the whole point of self-experimentation because there's no one size fits all. So we had gone to a seminar that Rob Wolf had given where he was talking about paleo, which was what Dallas had researched. And Rob was like, just try it for 30 days. And that's basically what Dallas proposed to me. We were doing this really heavy Olympic lifting session, and we were sitting around afterward, and I was eating Thin Mints. I remember specifically Thin Mints right out of the sleeve.
I could have a whole box of Thin Mints.
Right.
So good.
And he was like, we should do this like 30-day squeaky clean. And the thing that made me a really good drug addict also makes me really good at like taking on new habits, because I was like, okay, when do you want to start? And he's like, now. And I literally handed the Thin Mints to my friend Zach, and I was like, cool, let's go.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
And that was the start of the very first Whole30.
And did you have it all figured out? Like, we're not going to have this, this, and this, or it was kind of...
It was really loosely based on the framework of a paleo diet. But when I went back, so I blogged about it on my like personal training blog back in 2009. And when I go back and read, it was super loosey-goosey, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't eat this, try to eat less sugar. Like, it wasn't
There were
anywhere
some
near...
oils in there. There was that,
it wasn't super well defined.
But still got great results, it sounds like.
It did. I got incredible results, and like, but different results than what his was more mostly physical. Mine were mostly like helping me identify a really unhealthy emotional relationship with food and helping me change that in a really permanent and profound way.
Because I feel like when we have a structure, when we have like guidelines, then we can be creative within those guidelines.
Yeah.
In life and with food.
I like
right?
that.
But when, as an artist, sometimes we're just like, okay, paint me a painting.
Yes.
It's hard to be creative.
Yes.
But when you say, I want you to paint me a painting with red, black, and green.
Yes.
And I want you to have like circular motions.
Yeah.
Then you can be creative and artistic with the structure and the context. And I think when I had the context and the structure of the Whole30, it made me be more creative of how I could make my food, or the things that I could order. Now, it limited me in some ways, but it gave me structure.
Yeah.
And I think that structure creates discipline as well.
Yes.
So
a lot of people find the rules of the program, which are very black and white, very on or off, freeing. Because as you said, it takes some of the decision fatigue out of their brain. It eliminates the need to like white knuckle willpower your way through every decision. We say no added sugar. So when you pick up a label and you read it, you don't have to think, is this 2 grams of sugar? Is that too much? Is it not enough? Is it better? Or is it worse? Like it's just sugar. Nope, it's out. And a lot of people find that very freeing, especially in the beginning, because when you're trying to create a new habit or change a habit, it's like when I went to rehab, they stick you all in a box and you're isolated from the rest of the world because in the beginning you're really fragile. And it's kind of similar.
Yeah.
There's a lot of addiction and recovery like language built into the Whole30, which I didn't even realize until kind of after the fact.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Now, when did you get married? What year was that?
Oh my gosh.
You don't remember?
I should remember.
How
2011?
2011.
I think
the book came out 2015.
Yeah, the Whole30 book, yeah.
And when did you get divorced?
Well, boy, we separated 3 years ago in October, and then the divorce took a year to finalize.
So before the book came out, you got divorced or separated.
Let me tell you this.
So
yes.
the writing the book must have been interesting.
We separated before the book was written. And
then you wrote the book together?
No, I wrote the book.
Oh my gosh.
But then we had to do a book tour together.
No way.
When no one knew that we were separated.
Shut up.
Yeah, we did. And listen, we didn't want anything to detract from the book. Our publishers had invested a lot in us.
Of course.
We wanted to make it about the book and the community, not about us personally. We never made it about us personally. We came together and like nailed it. He and I both did an incredible job.
So
I feel like we put it aside. Yep.
And we just this.
We did. Yeah, we did. And I don't think we were disingenuous about it. We weren't pretending to be this like
you
super
weren't, like,
happy
lovey-dovey holding hands.
Nope.
Like,
but when it came time to go out and meet people and talk, we did it. We did a great job. And I'm really proud of us for doing that.
Wow.
But it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you would think that maybe that would bring you guys back together since you guys were able to do something.
Oh,
so
yeah,
no.
No, nobody was under that impression.
How is this for you then, writing a book with a partner that you're separating with and having, whatever emotional challenges you're both having? So I'm assuming he had his own emotional challenges about you. You had stuff about him.
Yeah, of course.
Two sides to every story. I don't even know what happened. It doesn't matter. But how did you emotionally handle this with your food and nutrition and working out during this time? Were you able to stay Whole30 approved essentially, or were you kind of like a mess inside with this emotional turmoil?
It was the most emotional and like stressful period of my life. And
And you were pregnant, right? Or you were,
no, we had the baby at that point. Our kid was 1.
Oh my
so, I was a new mom. But I had never been happier. I've done so much therapy, and all of the therapy we did over the course of our marriage, trying to make things work and individually prepared me for this time period, which was, this is like the most stressful event I could ever imagine going through, and I can still choose to be happy. And I did. So I did well.
Wow.
I focused on
you didn't break down and like
no,
crumble.
no. Anytime I had periods of like either resentment or anger or frustration, like they were very short-lived. I was able to kind of process them and work my way through them. I was taking good care of myself. I was taking good care of my son. I had good relationships with my friends. It was like one of the happiest periods of my life, which sounds so strange.
Wow.
But it was.
That's
great. Yeah.
Wow.
That was when I feel like my performance in the gym went up, and I started back at yoga again, and all of this new stuff. Just, it's hard, when you're trying so hard to make a relationship work, and we were both trying hard to make it work. You give up so many pieces of yourself in an effort to kind of compromise and get this thing off the ground. And then once it was clear that it wasn't going to work, I felt like, okay, now it's time to find me again. And that felt good.
Yeah.
It felt really good.
Now, so you guys were separated before the book came out.
Yeah.
Why did you keep your last name?
Yeah.
Before the book came out, why wouldn't you change your name back?
I had an opportunity.
Did you have a big platform already personally?
Yeah, that was basically it. I had a conversation, and it seems so weird to say, like, my agent helped me decide whether I should change my name back to my, my maiden name after I divorced. But I had the conversation with her saying, can I go back? My last name is Urban. Can I go back to Urban? And she was like, man, that's a tough sell. Every book you've ever written is under Hartwig. All of the Whole30 stuff is under Hartwig. Like, that's how people know you. I wasn't so well known. I'm not Glennon Doyle, where like
Right.
she could change her last name to
Right
whatever
back.
she wants
Yeah.
and people would know who she was. So
Yeah.
I didn't have that opportunity. And my son's last name is Hartwig.
Yeah.
So I don't love it. I will say I don't love it.
But you could change it back now,
Maybe I could.
right?
Maybe I could. Maybe I should have thought of that before the new book
Who knows?
comes out.
It's still time. It's not printed yet. Is it?
It's true.
Wow. Interesting. So you've been able to, do you feel like having control over your nutrition and your fitness has helped you emotionally navigate divorce and the emotions of all that as well?
Oh
and,
my gosh,
and like
yes.
divorcing a human, but also divorcing in a business,
Yes.
because you had to do both essentially, right?
You did. Yes. And the business was way harder. The business was very
Really?
challenging. I think personally we had both reconciled ourselves and that part was really easy. And
Well, that's good.
the co-parenting is easy and all of that stuff. Yeah, it was tough. Yes. In times of great stress, I'm a huge fan of controlling the things you can control. And the things I could control were the food I put in my body, how much I slept, at least making conscious decisions to like go to bed early and sleep, and at least get as much good sleep as I can, and exercise in a smart fashion.
Yeah.
Not over exercise, not beat myself up, not kill myself, but like move my body in a way that felt good. So I did.
What advice would you give to women going through divorce who have a tendency of emotional eating as a challenge for themselves, just in general in life? And now they're going through a divorce, whether they're business partners or not, but they're divorcing and going through this. What suggestions or strategies or tips would you give for them?
Yeah, for me, I think the thing that resonates the most is that people are reaching for food in these times of emotional struggles, but you don't want a cookie. You're looking for a connection. And I think people, especially at the end of a marriage, you've probably already isolated yourself a little bit from friends and family, because when your relationship's not going well, it's really hard to socialize and pretend like it is, or you don't want to bring other people down with all of your issues, or they've been hearing about it for so long already. So you tend to pull back anyway. So you're missing these like good in-person connections that can be so helpful with you processing and shifting. And instead you're reaching for food. So my advice and what I tried to do in my own life was just like stay as connected as possible to the people who really mattered. And I shared really openly, and it didn't always have to be, we weren't always talking about my feelings or the divorce. Sometimes we were just going to a yoga class or going for a walk, and like that was great too.
Yeah.
But not isolating and like purposefully forging those connections can be so helpful.
Yeah. It'll help you better.
Yeah.
Who do you feel like does a better job with the Whole30? Men or women?
That's tough. So our audience is mostly women. And I think it's a couple fold. I think the diet industry in general is mostly driven by women. And as much as I wouldn't say the Whole30 is a diet, that's kind of where we fall. We connect with most of our readers via social media, and women are far more likely to engage over social on a concept like this. I think what I hear from men is, oh yeah, I totally did the Whole30, but like I never blogged about it. I never social media'd about it. I never like went on a forum and asked for support. Men tend to do a little bit better, maybe for two reasons. One, they tend to lose weight faster, and that can be, they do, for a number of reasons. They've got more muscle mass, testosterone. They tend to have, this is a very gross generality, but like they maybe don't have as much or as deep of an emotional relationship with food as women do. I know men still have their emotional issues with food, but from what I've observed, they don't tend to either run as deep or be as strong.
Why is that?
I don't know. You tell me. I mean, I know
I can throw down a box of donuts at any time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it hard
Here's
for
the
you?
thing. I can do it when I'm like sad or emotionally distraught, or I can do it when I'm celebrating.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, we just did this.
Yeah.
Let's get a box of pizzas and donuts.
Yeah,
and like.
Interesting.
So that's the thing. And then here's the thing. I just read this actually a couple weeks ago. Actually, JJ Virgin brought this to my attention.
Yeah.
She sent me an article about gender. What it was about? It's about like essentially gender nutritional habits. How for men, there's a style of eating that's different than women.
Yeah.
In general, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where it's competitive for men.
Oh, interesting.
Where it's like, oh, I can eat more than you.
Oh, yeah.
I can let's do you don't see a lot of women doing
that's a boy
food
thing.
eating contests.
No.
Right? It's like, it's projecting your masculinity of like, oh, I can beat you at this
Sure.
as well.
Yeah.
I can be like bigger, or I can drink the beer faster than you.
Yeah.
Or I can do these things better than you.
That's true.
Or Men do barbecues, so we're all going to have lots of meats and all these other things, where women eat salads or whatever.
Sure.
And they eat slower.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
there's like this gender kind of like...
I definitely don't want to insinuate that like guys don't have emotional relationships with food. I think maybe where I was going with this was that women tend to be a little bit more like mind screwed when it comes to food because we've been fed the diet industry and the thinspiration our whole lives. And that hasn't been as directed towards men, I don't think. So, you know, we've got the Cosmo magazines and the Glamours and all the other stuff and the media and the diet industry telling us that we're not skinny enough and we're not, you know, toned enough and whatever. So you add that to an emotional relationship with food and that can be really challenging.
What advice do you have about women who are emotional eaters in general? How to like separate themselves from that or how to navigate it or accept it? I don't know what's even the best way to go about it.
So like part of it is biological, right? Like under periods of chronic stress, we crave sugar. It is biological. It is what happens in our system with our hormones when we are under stress and our body thinks that we need to run from the tiger or, you know, fend off the attack and we want quick and easy energy. Like that's a very simplistic overview, but part of it is biological. So there's almost a piece of that that can be really freeing for people. Like, okay, you know, you're going through a really difficult divorce and finances are tight and you're not sure where you're going to live. Of course you're craving sugar, right? Of course. So that's expected. So that can be almost comforting for people.
Just the awareness of that.
I think
Understanding it.
Yeah, right? Understanding kind of what's going on behind the scenes can make you feel less crazy. Like, I don't really want this, but why am I craving it? And once I start eating it, I can't stop. I think for some people, if your emotional relationship with food isn't to the point where you would consider yourself addicted, or you're not eating specifically as a result of like some kind of unresolved trauma or an issue, maybe doing a reset like the Whole30 can help. Where, you know, you're pulling this stuff out of your diet and physiologically and psychologically, we are giving you a reset from these foods that are making you crave and overconsume and get you stuck in this cycle.
Yeah, so that way you have better habits afterwards.
Yeah.
Do it for 30 days.
Yeah.
And then you're not as craving it as much.
Yes. And that works really well for some people. For others, I say, like, just you got to go talk to someone.
Yeah.
Right? This is not, it's about the food, but it's not about the food. It's about like all of this stuff that's coming underneath and behind the food. And like, you need to look at that. Right?
Yeah.
That is sending you to the food.
Right. You need to release it.
Yeah.
You need to connect about it in a different way.
Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of therapy. Any modality that happens to work for you, like these things, a lot of these things are too big to unpack yourself. Too big. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
What else are you excited about in your life right now?
My son's amazing. He's 4.5 and super fun. And his own like great little personality. And he's just getting to the age where like I'm doing stuff with him instead of just like toting him along everywhere, which is cool. So he gets to tell me what he wants to do on a weekend and he loves being outside and hiking with me and stuff. So that's good. I feel like I have such an awesome network of friends right now.
Yeah.
And like guys and girls, which is cool. I never had girlfriends growing up.
Really?
Not really.
Like the lone girl?
Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe I had some like defense mechanisms and now it's like, I like sharing with my girlfriends.
That's
and like
cool.
we sit down and just like get into it, you know,
That's
there's not
great.
so that feels really good. I'm traveling a ton. I love what I do for work.
Yeah, it's pretty
so
amazing, right?
much. I love it.
Helping people, connecting.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it. Creating resources, meeting them, hearing their stories. Like, what do you need? What can I do for you? Let me help. You know, I love it so much. It's super fulfilling.
What would you say is missing for you?
A solid like personal life, a relationship. I've been, and like it's kind of the excuse that feeds it, right? Like I've been in this period of work hustle where work is going really well, and I've put out, you know, I've been writing books like crazy. And
is it your 5th book now or what?
It'll be my 6th, but it's the 2nd year that I will put out 2 books in a row. That's like crazy. I don't have as much to do with the cookbooks, but like still.
Right.
So work is going really well. So I'm focusing on work and I also have my kid and I've got my own I sleep really well and I'm at the gym all the time and I do yoga all the time and stuff. And it's like, I date someone and then they're like, you're kind of hard to date. And I'm like, yeah, you know, because I'm not around and I travel so much and stuff. So it's easy almost to say like, well, I'll just put that off for a little while. Except I've been saying that for a little while.
Yeah.
So, you know, maintaining personal relationships can be tough for a number of reasons. So I think that's what's missing.
What's it going to take for you to bring it into your life?
Some pretty conscious pulling back of what I do for work. Some pretty conscious, like this could be a good opportunity, but I'm going to pass on it for now and really focus on like connecting in my relationships.
Right. Or do you feel like if you found someone that was worth pulling back for, you would? Or
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. That's a good way of looking at it too. Let's just put it this way. For the first time in a long time, I'm like tossing it out there.
Oh,
Right? Like, okay, universe, I'm kind of ready for this.
that's cool.
Yeah, I'm ready for like something that's a little more connected and a little more serious. It's been 3 years. I took the first year and a half and like didn't really date at all because I felt like I needed that space for me, and that was great. But yeah, I think I'm ready for it. So maybe
cool.
that's it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to ask a few final questions.
Okay.
Well, actually, before I ask a few final questions, what have you learned about building an online community around this topic? Because I think there's a lot of people who are experts or nutritionists or just in general coaches helping other people, but you've built like a great community through different groups on Facebook, on social media, your website. What would you say has been helpful for you in navigating that and cultivating that?
Yeah. So I think it's two things. I think number one, it is like serving them. And I stay incredibly engaged with my community, like me directly, right? I'm not, nobody's
so much time, right?
It is so
I'm
much
the same way.
time.
I'm
Yes.
like one by one replying to so many people.
Yes. And it's the most important part of my job. It is how
crazy, right?
you build connection. It's how you build loyalty. It's how you get great ideas for your business. Somebody says, oh, you should have this person on your podcast. And if 10 other people chime in, you're like, oh, they weren't on my radar, but I should. And then you're serving them, and it's good for you and it's good for them. Like, serve your community, cultivate the community. If you do that, everything else will follow. I have people now who are fiercely loyal to the program who, you know, I write a book and they're like, I'll buy it. I don't need it, but I'll buy it because I want to support you. Yeah. And it's because I'm not trying to sell them stuff. I'm just serving them. But I think the more important thing is that behind the community or the marketing or whatever your social media is, like, you have to have a product that's really good. And I think a lot of people overlook that.
They don't have a good product.
Yeah, you know, you can have the flashy marketing camp. I mean, this is me telling you this.
Sure,
I feel silly even, you know, but you know what I'm saying, right? You can have the best smoke and mirrors and show and prettiest Instagram feed. But like, if at the heart you don't have something that like actually gives people what they need and what they want and works for them, then like they're not going to stick around. And the point is to cultivate a loyal following, not just a flash in the pan set of followers.
Right. Starts with a product.
It does.
And then it starts with, and then it's engagement.
Yeah.
And listening to what they want and serving them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it's slower. Yeah. And it's not as sexy. And you maybe don't have these like giant gains, right? And maybe you're, you know, you're not getting all of these major offers to promote sponsored stuff on your, but like, I'm not a huge fan of that anyway.
Right, exactly.
I'm really not.
Yeah.
I like to keep it really authentic and personal, and that's what I like to do.
What would you say is your greatest gift?
Oh, you know, I'm really good at speaking to people the way they want to be spoken to. Meaning I can take a message and like within not a very long period of time, I can figure out whether you need that message delivered tough love style or cheerleader style or sciencey style. I've cultivated that. I'm good at that.
That's smart.
Which is really helpful when you're trying to inspire change. Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
And the biggest weakness?
Oh boy. I mean, maybe I'm just I tend to be a little dogmatic, especially in the beginning. I'm very black or white. I'm very on or off. It's taken me a long time to cultivate a sense of like nuance and context and empathy is something that I've had to like work at and teach myself. So I still struggle and sometimes fail in that, but I'm not afraid to say like, I was wrong. Here's where I was wrong. Sorry about that. Here's what I'm going to do in the future. Right.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm not afraid to do that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Final few questions. This is called 3 Truths.
Okay.
So if this is the last day for you many years from now.
Yes.
But all of your content is erased from history.
Yeah.
And so there's no information that you shared available anymore.
Yep.
And you got a piece of paper and a pen to write down 3 things you know to be true about all your experiences.
Yeah.
The lessons you would leave behind.
Yeah.
What would you say are your 3 truths?
Oh. Love yourself. Love more. God, those would be the only 2, I think. Just love.
Yeah.
More love. That's it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What are you most grateful for right now?
I think I'm the most grateful to be able to spend my days doing something that I love to do so much. This work, I feel like I have found my like life's calling. This is what God put me here to do. I can't think of anything I could be more grateful for than that. Obviously my son and my family, but like that, the
Right.
fact that I feel like I'm living my purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I want to acknowledge you for a moment, Melissa, for your ability to transform your habits and get out of a dark place. Because I think for some people,
Thanks.
it's hard to get out of that. Once you've been addicted, once you've been
Yeah.
in that space, it's really easy to keep going down that path. So for you to get yourself out of there and to have someone stand for you and you for to listen to that person and then to continue to make your life about transformation for others, it's really inspiring and powerful. So I want
Thank
to acknowledge you for that. Yeah,
Thanks so much.
of course. The new book is called The Whole30 Day by Day, Your Daily Guide to Whole30 Success.
Mm-hmm.
It's out now when this comes out. And you guys can get it online. What's the website as well? For
Whole30.com.
Whole30.com.
WHOLE and the number 30.
Whole30.com, at Melissa Hartwig. Make sure to check her out on social media. Get the book. I've done the program. It's amazing. So I highly recommend it. And it's probably the best results I've gotten from anything. I mean, I've tried paleo. I've tried all these different things. But Whole30 felt like it was something I could continue to do and want to come back to do. So
That makes me so happy.
yeah, so I recommend it. With so much out there in the nutrition space that is just hard to, it's just something seems to always come out new every day, right?
Mhm.
I feel like this is something that's really sustainable because it's the best foods that you're supposed to be eating.
Yeah.
So I
Good.
highly recommend you guys check it out. Whole30.com. You can learn more about it there. This is the final question is, what is your definition of greatness?
Ooh. I think my definition of greatness is showing up as yourself, period. That's it. Whether I'm interviewing with you or whether I'm at home with my kid or whether I'm speaking in front of 400 people, like, am I showing up as me? Am I just Melissa right now? That's pretty great.
Melissa, thank you so much.
My
Appreciate you.
pleasure. Thank
Appreciate
you.